Welcome, everybody. It's January 24th, 2024, and you're listening to the Smart Energy Decisions webinar series. I'm Deborah Channel, Editorial and Research Director at Smart Energy Decisions. This webinar series has been developed to deliver insights and useful information for large electric power users. Today's presentation is brought to us by EnergyCAP. It's called Achieving Energy Efficiency with Building Software, and our presenters are Dave Ulmer of EnergyCAP and Harry Wilson of Verdantix. We're seeing that companies are increasing their spending on energy efficiency and sustainability management solutions, and it's being driven by a lot of factors, but in large part by those volatile energy prices and also the impending carbon reporting legislation. So choosing the right solution for you is vital. And Verdantix just published their Green Quadrant for Energy Management Software report. So this webinar will dive into that report and discuss how an energy and sustainability ERP can support your energy goals. First, we're going to start, as always, with some housekeeping and logistics details. Make sure to enable the pop-ups within your browser. Turn on your sound system to hear the streaming presentation. If you need any technical assistance, press your F5 key or Control-R to refresh the browser. And if that doesn't work, just click the help link or submit a question, and we'll respond right away. On the console in front of you, you'll see that you can download today's slides or reach out directly to the EnergyCAP team for a call or a demo, and you're going to get a sneak preview of that demo during today's presentation. So I think that's going to be impressive. And you can also download, I said you can already download the slides from EnergyCAP. I said that. But if you want to submit a question for our speakers, you can do so at any time during the presentation. Just type it into the enter the question box, and we'll leave time towards the end of the presentation for a Q&A. If we don't get to your question live, the team will follow up with you after. So just take a look at the navigation bar at the bottom of your screen, and you'll see all those widgets. All right, let's talk a little bit about smart energy decisions and everything that we offer our community. We're a very mission-driven company, and that mission is to help large power users, that's commercial, industrial, institutional, and government organizations, to accelerate the adoption of renewable energy, facilitate the development of their net zero roadmaps and other sustainability strategies, to share best practices in energy efficiency and sourcing, and to foster those connections between energy buyers and suppliers to make all of this happen. That's a lot. And in order to get that all done, we offer this ongoing webinar series and a number of other programs and services that we produce. We've got Smart Energy Voices, our podcast series, exclusive research, our daily news and newsletters. And if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, go to our website and click that green join button because it's great information. And of course, we have our events. I can't believe it's the end of January because at the end of February, we will have our Net Zero Forum Spring event, February 26th to 28th at the Woodlands, which is near Houston. We have a great lineup of educational sessions, one-to-one meetings between those buyers and suppliers. We also have an exciting new feature called the Energy Hub, and we'll be presenting our 2024 WISE Awards, and that's Women in Smart Energy. I know that registration closes soon for the event, so you'll want to go to smartenergydecisions.com/events for more information on Net Zero Forum Spring, as well as Renewable Energy Forum in June and Net Zero Forum Fall, which is in September. Okay, enough about us. Let's get started with today's presentation. Again, it's EnergyCAP giving us Achieving Energy Efficiency with Building Software. And our presenters are Dave Ulmer of EnergyCAP and Harry Wilson of Verdantix. And I'm going to turn this over to Dave to get us started.
Well, thanks, Deborah. Appreciate the introduction and the opportunity to be here with Smart Energy Decisions. As we think about where we are in terms of our environment, and I mean that both political environments, cultural environments, and also our physical environments around us, achieving energy efficiency with building software is an important topic because we have a lot of opportunity to impact those things through energy efficiency. And we trust that many of you have joined us today to hear a little bit about how you can use software to do things that otherwise would just be too much to maybe handle on your own. And it's a pleasure to have Verdantix here with us today to talk about their Green Quadrant and what they've learned from the industry, what they've learned from practitioners, and how those pieces fit together, what their observations have been as well. So looking forward to sharing this time with you today. Thank you for joining us. Our agenda today, we're going to turn it over to Verdantix and hear from them about the state of the EMS market, to hear about the Green Quadrant of energy management systems in 2023, and as was mentioned before, that's we'll be going through some of the findings that they have there. We're going to do a brief demonstration of some of the tooling that EnergyCAP provides in this space to help you with building energy efficiency, and leave some time at the end as well for questions and answers. So enough for me. I'm going to turn it over to Harry from Verdantix to get us kicked off. Harry?
No, thank you, Dave. Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to present on this topic. Just to begin, a disclaimer, we begin all of our Verdantix content with. Verdantix does not endorse any vendor, product or service covered in our research publications, webinars and other materials. We do not advise technology users to select only the vendors with the highest ratings. And our research publications consist of the opinions of the Verdantix research team based on the analysis of the market, survey data, and review of vendor solutions. Now that's out of the way, we can get straight into it and dive into the state of the energy management software market. So I'm sure everyone on the call today is aware that energy management has really been on quite a roller coaster of a journey over the last 15 years. Here on screen, what I prepared is just some key themes that happened across that 15-year timeline. So if we look back to the early 2010s, that 2010 to 2015 period, we see high volatile energy prices gripping many geographies and regions around the world. In terms of carbon reporting, back in the 2010s, sustainability and other carbon-driven initiatives were very nascent. It is not the beast that it is today that we all must tackle. And carbon reporting was rather limited. There was a few forward-thinking firms that really thought, oh, we need to be quite conscious of our carbon emissions. However, it's nowhere near what it is today, and not even close, and it was rather limited. When we look at energy as well in that time, energy management was a thing. However, it was often only at the facility level. It was the facilities managers, the energy managers, those people really close to the actual consumption of that energy that really cared. Obviously, in different business operations and roles, the effect of that energy consumption was felt. For example, finance would, see your utility bill at the end of the month. But in terms of the actual operations of the building, it was really focused just on that energy. Basically, in this time, the main driver for the adoption of energy management was a cost reduction. You could alleviate your large financial expenditure in a time of high energy prices. Therefore, many people invested and many people adopted an energy management solution for their business. As we move forwards to the 2016 to 2021 period, the period in the middle box, we see a large decline in energy prices. As such, this business case that I just mentioned, the adoption of energy management software to reduce your financial cost every month on your utility, that argument kind of faded away. We saw a large decline in users looking to adopt energy management software. That investment went elsewhere into other business uses. We did, however, see a rise in firms starting to voluntarily report on their carbon emissions and adopt energy management solutions in order to do that, in order to report on how much carbon you consume and the carbon emissions of your business. You really need to have an idea of what you're consuming energy-wise, especially when fossil fuels, they still account for a large proportion of our electricity in varying countries around the world. In terms of the development of energy management functionality, we started to see a combined asset and space management sort of perspective, energy was broadened. We started to look at how energy could be controlled and monitored with the idea of better use of space, better use of equipment control. And it really started to break out of that traditional silo approach. Now we move on to the current period, the 2022 to 2027. And now we're in 2024. We're firmly in that period. Scary with it being the new year. But we're seeing the return of volatile energy pricing due to ongoing geopolitical conflicts around the world. The economic landscape at the moment, with rising inflation, rising central bank interest rates, there's a lot more financial pressure on executives to cut costs and improve efficiency. The business case for energy management is in effect becoming clearer and clearer. There's a notable return on investment by adopting a solution to help you reduce your utility bill cost. In the US in particular, and also here in Europe, we have new mandatory carbon reporting, either looming or coming into effect this year. In the US, there's the ever-looming SEC climate disclosure rule. I know that hasn't yet taken effect. However, the threat of it is still there, and executives need to be prepared to meet the demands of that. And here in Europe, we have the CSRD, which is driving firms to report on their carbon emissions across their global operations. Finally, just to quickly touch on the functionality, the energy has truly broken out of its silos, and people are starting to consider energy both at asset level, at the equipment level, and in terms of their wider portfolio, as well as how it intertwines with their building value, how their building is used, and how happy the occupants actually are. So if I just move on to the next slide, what we have here is a short infographic just about the key functionalities that energy management software really encapsulates. So as we saw on the previous slides, it's been the best analogy for it is a roller coaster. And energy management really has had its ups and downs. Now, in that market downturn in between 2016 and 2021, we saw the consolidation of smaller vendors into larger vendors in the space. We saw a large amount of acquisitions. We saw larger vendors having to pivot their solution offerings in order to retain and attract new customers. And really, energy management grew out of its typical form to cover new functionalities. So here in the infographic I prepared, we have the 6 key functionalities Verdantix believes energy management software to cover to date. And what we term this is true end-to-end energy management. You can see on the left-hand side, we have functionality related to the procurement of energy, through to the utility bill management, and then through to monitoring and reporting that energy, getting data from your building, from your utility bill, cross-comparing that, and understanding just what you are consuming, where, when, and how. We then see operations and control, so acting on those energy insights that you have to try and reduce them, and also bundle that up into carbon and project management, i.e. measurement and verification of energy efficiency projects, and also how that relates to your carbon footprint and how you can report to your necessary legislative body. So here on screen, we have a chart from the Verdantix Annual Global Corporate Survey. So here at Verdantix, being a market research firm, we conduct an annual global corporate survey of over 300 real estate executives to really try and understand their needs and priorities, well, in this case, their objectives, as we termed it, for their organization over the coming immediate future. So what we have 5 different priorities: optimizing building operations, decarbonizing our building portfolio, making properties attractive and supportive for employees, improving the resiliency of our building portfolio, and optimizing our portfolio footprint. So as you can see, a few of these aren't, the list here is not mutually exclusive. You could technically unlock other ones by picking one as your priority. However, the two key responses, or the two key objectives, as it were, which are really unlocked by adopting energy management software, are the top two: the optimizing building operations and the decarbonizing our building portfolio. And you can see, 23% of our respondents indicated optimization as their top priority over the 3 years, and 22% indicated decarbonization was their top priority. Obviously, this varies massively by region, but it's a really interesting picture, and it's clear, this is justification for executives. Energy management software can unlock these priorities, and as such, we start to predict that energy management software adoption will increase. If we move on to the next slide. So to verify this, and this is a sneak peek of insights from our Green Quadrant report, which we'll dive into greater detail on later in this presentation, we see a verification of these issues affecting executives. We see, these quotes that I've displayed on screen are just a few of the range we found through our interviews of customers of energy management software, and what has really driven those customers to adopt EMS. So we see at the top, volatile energy prices and economic uncertainty, and we see reference to the fluctuating volatile energy prices, making budgeting rather difficult. We also see that economic uncertainty piece about inflation continuing to be a problem on executives' real estate planning. If we look towards the bottom of the slides, we see it more through a carbon and sustainability lens. So we see those net zero targets and commitments, all about understanding energy use and how they can actually reduce it. A key thing we find at Verdantix is that everyone has really bold decarbonisation and energy reduction plans. However, they're only good if you know what you actually are consuming in order to act on it. If you can't see what you are consuming, you have no idea how to reduce it, or if your efforts have been in vain. In sustainability pressures as well, we saw some customers speak about state legislation, and of course I mentioned the looming SEC climate disclosure rule, which will prompt it at the federal level. Moving to our next slides. Sadly, the label on the left-hand side has been cut off, but that does read no plans to invest. However, this is also data from our global corporate survey, and we posed the question to executives: how do you expect your investment in energy management software to change? A rather direct question considering the topic, but we do have some incredibly useful insights from this data. So it may look, the majority of people do not have plans to invest in this solution if you look at the pie chart on the left-hand side. However, it's important to note that of that 55%, 90% of those already have an existing solution in place. So they don't see a need to invest at the moment because they've already invested. If we look at this 42% which plan to invest, the pie chart on the right-hand side is a breakdown of this. We see 57% of these plan to expand energy management software deployment across their portfolio. 29% plan to purchase for the first time in the next 2 years. And 14% plan to replace their current solution with a new software entirely. This data is... Oh, my mistake. We're now moving straight on to the Verdantix Green Quadrant Energy Management Software 2023. And this is where all of the data I just presented is validated through our Green Quadrant methodology. So for those not entirely familiar with Verdantix, we conduct benchmarking research exercises on a range of different smart building topics within our smart buildings practice. Our Green Quadrant methodology is the most robust and most thorough of them all, of the ones we cover. And I've included an excerpt from our actual report just to try and paint a picture of what this actually entails. So I'll read it out. The Verdantix Green Quadrant methodology provides buyers of specific products or services with a structured assessment of comparable offerings at a certain point in time. The methodology supports purchase decisions by identifying potential vendors structuring relevant purchase criteria through discussions with buyers, and providing an evidence-based assessment of the products or services in the market. So now it's quite hard to understand what actually goes into, this methodology by the text on there. So I've prepared the following graphic just to try and illustrate what we use to conduct this analysis. So as you can see, there's a large range of circles on your screen, and this really illustrates all the inputs that go into this benchmarking exercise and how we can directly compare vendors of energy management against one another. So if we just focus on the circles on the right-hand side, we see the key input to this approach is a questionnaire. So we developed a 66-point questionnaire, which assessed vendors on their technical and functional capabilities, and also assessed them on their market momentum. These capabilities were verified through a live 1.5-hour product demo that all the vendors had to prepare 6 scenarios for, and they were assessed in line with those to ensure fairness across the approach. In addition to the questionnaire and the 1.5-hour long demo, we conducted customer interviews with users of the solutions we assessed. We used our survey data from our corporate survey, and we used publicly available information to validate our approach. All of this fed into our report, into our findings, and we were able to benchmark the leading 15 vendors of energy management software against one another. If we move on to the next slide, we see a table of all the different solutions which were included in this analysis. So you can see there's 15 vendors which were selected. This was done through preliminary interviews of customers, vendors, our previously published research, our Smart Innovators report, which benchmarked 25 vendors, and other market data. So we see that these vendors all offer an array of packages for the management of customers' energy. And you can see in this table, some of them have more discrete packages than others. However, where vendors offered more than one package, we did specify that they had to tell us how they work together and demonstrate this on the live product demo. And now for the big reveal, here we have the actual Verdantix Green Quadrant Energy Management Software 2023. So as you can see, it's a 2x2 quadrant with 4 different categories. We have the Challengers quadrant in the bottom left, the Innovators quadrant in the top left, the Specialist quadrant in the bottom right, and the Leaders quadrant in the top right. So to summarize the key findings from this research, I've prepared some short bullet points on the left-hand side. I went out and identified the leading 15 vendors of energy management software, and each of the vendors specified on this quadrant offer comprehensive functionality to their target market across a range of different building types. We see that energy management is a mature and developed market. It's not necessarily this is a new market segment. Energy management software in buildings has been around for quite some time. But again, it's been through that incredible journey that I explained earlier in the presentation. However, there are still new solutions coming to market. We have some solutions on here that are, less than 10 years old, for example, Facilio and Bueno. And then we have ones that are more established, like the Johnson Controls and Honeywell, for example. What we do have is across all of the vendors and some more in particular, and we'll go into greater detail on EnergyCAP's functionality later in this presentation, but we have new innovations in AI, new building systems connectors that allow a near building agnostic connection to enable maximum functionality of software, and also new carbon emission accounting functionality, which have all really propelled EMS to new heights in terms of functionality and its offering to customers. We also see a range of business model offerings. So what we see is that some of these vendors, they all offer a software product. However, some offer services behind that software to enable greater energy efficiency and ease the burden on the actual customer. So as I mentioned on when we were looking at this previous slides, there's 4 different quadrants. However, I do just want to focus on the leaders quadrant. And of course, as this is the EnergyCAP sponsored webinar, we're going to go into more detail on EnergyCAP. So you can see EnergyCAP placed firmly within the leaders quadrant, testament to its full end-to-end energy management capabilities. And we'll go into more detail in that on the next slides. However, I just want to touch on all 8 leaders that were identified in this exercise. So we found that the 8 leaders identified, they're there on the quadrant for you to see. They scored highest, not only in terms of capabilities, but also in terms of market momentum, i.e. their customer base, their innovation and product strategy, and some other categories we'll explore later, all scored consistently highly. And this really placed them in the leaders quadrant. The functionalities we saw were rich and extensive, and they offered buyers a solution which allows them to manage all aspects of their energy within their facilities, either at the portfolio or at the building level. So within our analysis, what we do to each of the vendors which participated, we produce a dedicated profile. And what I've been able to do is I've been able to take part of the profile that was written for EnergyCAP and share it on screen in this slide. So what we have is we have the EnergyCAP offering of 3 main packages: the utility management, Carbon Hub, and Smart Analytics really allow customers to monitor their energy, cost, and carbon data, either at the portfolio level all the way down to the building and device level. And EnergyCAP, as you'll see on the following slide, scored highly across all of the 6 functional capabilities we assessed them on. We saw utility bill management being a true standout capability of the vendor, where it scored a 2.0. due to its automated bill processing and utility provider connection. Now, it's important to note that 2.0 may not sound like a lot, but I'll go into more detail on the marking criteria in the next slide. We also saw the vendor score the 2nd highest score for carbon management, thanks to its newly launched Carbon Hub package with its comprehensive carbon accounting and reporting functionality. So here on the next slide, we do have a small diagram I prepared just to show how these solutions fit together and how the bill capture feeds into utility management. We also have the scoring for the functional capabilities on the left-hand side of EnergyCAP's trifecta. So as I mentioned, in terms of scoring of a green quadrant, because we're looking at the leading 15 vendors in the space, a score of 1 just and we score between 0 and 3. A score of 0 indicates no capability in a certain functionality. A score of 1 indicates comprehensive general capability, i.e. they have to have well-rounded in that specific area. A score of 2 is strong capability, and a score of 3 is incredibly well-reserved for that market-leading capability. Within each of the 6 functional capabilities, there's about 3 to 4 sub-criteria, which are all scored on that 0 to 3 scale, and then multiplied up to produce the overarching number. So you can see, as I spoke about on the previous slides, the utility bill management and the carbon management areas were those that really stood out. That 2.2 in carbon management was incredible, and like I said, the 2nd highest score awarded amongst all of the 15 vendors. If we go into more detail and we start to look at the technical capabilities, I mentioned that sub-criteria scoring. We see EnergyCAP scoring 3.0 out of 3.0 in its utility bill functionality in that bill processing subcategory, and this fed into a 2.1 score for data capture. In its architecture, data audit, and scalability, it was awarded a 3.0 due to data normalization and calculation. A 3.0 in that category, due to ML and regression-based models to predict and normalize data sets, i.e. to offer customers that forward-thinking prediction and forecasting that allows it to estimate energy use and also reduce it. It also scored highly in internationalization due to its wide range of languages and currency supported. It also does automatic conversion between different energy units, which is really beneficial when you're dealing with a wide range of different units and if you have a cross-geography portfolio. Moving on to momentum, EnergyCAP's momentum is strong, and this is due to its large customer base it boasts thanks to its superior utility management package. If we look at customers, the solution is utilized at over 170,000 sites at a range of different asset types. It has a strong customer retention of over 90% in 2023. And, this really shows how much customers love the solution that they're using. Their innovation and product strategy was strong, and also they offer regular updates to their product, which customers were found to really appreciate. Now that concludes my slides. I'll hand back over to Dave, who's going to take everyone on a demo of the software that was submitted for analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Appreciate the thorough research and analysis that Verdantix has done here. Also appreciate being included, in the evaluation and just the thoughtfulness of the different categories, as well as helping educate all of us on what are the trends, what are the things that are most important in the industry. For those of you who may not know, EnergyCAP, Harry was talking about some of the trends that have happened over the last, 14, 15 years. We've seen those trends, we've lived those trends, and even more, our heritage in terms of software development in the space of helping building managers to have energy efficient buildings goes back more than 40 years. And we've continued to adapt, and that's why we're very pleased to be in the leaders quadrant of the Verdantix Green Quadrant, in the leaders section of the Green Quadrant, because that demonstrates our continued focus on adapting and meeting the needs of customers, existing customers, as well as others in the marketplace who are that are in that pie chart, looking for a solution. So I wanted to just describe briefly the solutions that were evaluated by Verdantix, and then give you a moment to see a couple of them and see some of their capabilities. When we talk about EnergyCAP's suite of products, what we're talking about is an energy and sustainability ERP, a single source of truth that your organization can turn to. One of the things that Harry mentioned, and I wrote it down because I think it's so important, if you can't see what you're consuming, you don't know how to reduce it. And we completely believe that at EnergyCAP. So we want to make sure that we're providing solutions where, regardless of where you are in the continuum of maybe just starting this journey, or maybe you're starting with a building, maybe you're starting high level and trying to get deeper into your data, regardless of where you stand in that journey, we want to be able to partner with you and provide solutions to help you along the way, and make sure that you can trust the data, because if you can't trust it, then it's not really giving you the insights that you need. EnergyCAP, as the energy and sustainability ERP, gives you that single source of truth with validated, actionable data at all levels within your organization. So starting on the right and moving towards the left, the EnergyCAP Smart Analytics tool is a real-time energy and sustainability analytics tool that allows you to look at meters and devices, building systems in near real time, so that you can get close in to your data and you can see the impacts of changes that you're making. You can also see opportunities and be able to respond quickly to those. So that really is kind of that microscopic view where you're able to drill into that data. As we take a step back from an individual building, our EnergyCAP utility management software allows you to have portfolio level energy and sustainability reporting, allowing you to manage and see all your data, whether that data is coming in from meter data through sub-meters or interval data points, whether it's coming from utility bill data and you're managing utility bills from vendors, or perhaps you're even using calculations based on a mix of those in order to have accurate data at your facilities. The utility management toolset allows you to have that portfolio level view of your system. And then, as was mentioned by Harry, our newest addition to the EnergyCAP portfolio is EnergyCAP Carbon Hub, which provides financial grade greenhouse gas accounting. And what we mean by that is giving you the same level of quality and assurance for your greenhouse gas and emissions data as you might have for some of your energy or cost data historically in the past. So this leverages the data that you're collecting through smart analytics or utility management, or data that you're collecting on your own through carbon reporting, and allowing you to be able to report accurately and effectively and see those opportunities and how the measures that you're taking really affect your buildings and facilities and make an impact on the environment. And under all of those services, as was mentioned, are a number of options that we provide in terms of services to help manage your data, get your data in confidently, and to take some of the data concerns off of your plate so that you can spend your time analyzing data. For instance, our bill capture service that will automatically transform utility bills from multiple vendors, multiple formats, and place that data accurately and dependably into our platform so that then you can do analysis from that data set. So with that, I'd like to take a few moments and show you our 3 products that we just talked about as part of the Energy and Sustainability ERP. So one thing to note about the EnergyCAP platform is that it is an integrated platform. And as you can see here, with a single login, I can access all 3 of these different products that all serve different purposes. And I could start with one of them and say, maybe I'm really trying to get a focus in on my smart meter data, and I want to start with smart analytics. Or maybe your organization has a real focus on carbon reporting, so you want to start with Carbon Hub. Regardless, as you have additional EnergyCAP applications that you subscribe to, they're all integrated together, and through a single login, you can access all 3: Smart Analytics, Utility Management, and Carbon Hub all together. Let's start by taking a look at Smart Analytics. And we said that this is really that near view of your facilities, of your devices, of your meters. So whether it's smart meter data that you're gathering from meters that you own, or perhaps you're getting information from a utility vendor, or maybe some information from a building management system or automation system, all of those time series data points can be measured and monitored within Smart Analytics. And you can go down and see that real-time data. You can observe it. You can see trends. That's powerful, but what's really powerful is when the software starts to help you do analysis. And that's one of the things that's really key to the way we've approached developed our software over time. So if we take this information from this particular 1 meter that we have installed on a building, we can step out a little bit and we can look at that data, and we can look at it in different time scales, right? We can look at that information and see it, zoom into a day, or look at a weekly view, or put it into a monthly view, and we can very easily start to compare and add additional information on top of it so that we can see trends across our data sets. We can really get more of a holistic view of our facility with multiple ways that you can view the data so that you can easily both analyze it yourself and tell stories, because we know another significant part is being able to get support for the actions that we need to take when it comes to building efficiency. Being able to do that by telling the story with rich, accurate data that's coming through on a regular basis. But as you know, as folks who care about managing your buildings, it's one thing to have data, it's another to be able to stay on top of all the data that's coming in. And that's where the power of Smart Analytics can be at your fingertips. We have a tool called Sentinel that uses your historic data. It looks at the trends and how your buildings operate to predict what should happen in the future. And in this case, the green bar is a prediction for this particular data point to say that based on historic behavior, this is how we expect this particular part of your facility to operate. And we can very, very clearly see through the black line when we've deviated, when we've done something that is abnormal, it's unusual. So here we're using some of those powerful tools that Harry talked about in terms of machine learning and regression models and things to help predict smartly what your facility should be doing, and then be able to show you when there are deviations. But not only that, you can also receive automated notifications when things go out of bounds, so that you don't have to sit here and look at these screens every day. You can look at just those exceptions. You can even automate those exceptions into a building management system or a ticketing system, so that you can then have work orders automatically created for someone to go take a look and respond very quickly, so that you have the best opportunity for savings. The last few that I'm going to show, and this is just a handful of many that are available in Smart Analytics, is the ability to do what-if analysis. So we can take all of this rich data that you collect from your buildings, from your data points, we can lay them out for you so that you can see where are your patterns, and then you can perform what-if analysis, where you can try things like, what if we change setback periods? What if we do energy reduction activities that would allow us to, or maybe we implement LEDs. But in this case, I'm going to do, let's see if we could just change some of our set points during the nighttime hours. What would happen? Well, not only can I see, using my real data in the past, what my potential savings are from an energy perspective, but I can also then see how those savings are reflected in terms of money, and I can also see the impact that would make to our greenhouse gas emissions as well. So providing a rich tool set of analysis that's available to you and your teams, really leveraging your data. So that's Smart Analytics. As we move into utility management, again, this is our portfolio level tool that allows you to manage your entire portfolio of facilities. It also provides rich utility bill analysis, auditing capabilities, the ability to be notified again of potential anomalies in data that's coming from your utility vendors, and it allows you to combine smart meter data and utility bill data along with calculations and formulas all in one place. In addition, it provides dashboards like the one that I have available here, where I can look at my portfolio and I can easily demonstrate for people the difference between our facilities and where we may have the most opportunity when it comes to energy use intensity, or maybe our costs or our greenhouse gas intensities as well, because this is really that portfolio level view of your facilities. As we drill into some of the different views of utility management, this is really meant to allow energy managers, facility managers to organize their data in a way that makes sense to them. Being able to nest information together for easy reporting. Each and every building has the ability to see data across different commodities, usage, cost information, monthly values. You can see trends. We perform weather normalization, so you have information about your facilities and the EUI. All of that comes automatic out of the box as you start feeding your data into the platform. As we talked about before, really at the core of this is the ability to look at more like monthly level data. And a lot of that monthly data comes from utility bills. Not all of it, and that's why you can mix and match within utility management. But a lot of that data comes in from utility bills. So we have a rich capability to understand and analyze utility bills. And with that, we also provide detailed bill line item analysis so that you can see all the information. Now, you may be saying, yeah, that's a lot of information there. There's no way that my organization is going to take a utility bill and slice it into all these different parts. That's where we provide flexibility for customers to enter data themselves in kind of a lightweight form. They can import data on their own. We also provide our bill capture service that will take all of the line items on bills that are provided to us, and it will bring in rich data like what you see on the screen here, and provide the ability for your teams to be able to go back and look at the source data themselves. Again, feeling confident in the data, where it originated from, and how that is translated and then used within the platform to provide insights to you. So that's just a taste of utility management. Lots more capabilities and features that we'd love to tell you about there. But I don't want to skip over Carbon Hub, which, as we mentioned, is our greenhouse gas, it's accounting grade greenhouse gas data that can be provided for your entire portfolio. So one of the powerful things about using EnergyCAP's tools together is that if you're tracking utility data in utility management or in Smart Analytics, you have the capability to have Scope 1 and Scope 2 data automatically calculated for you. Whether you choose to do that or not, you also have the ability to enter your own data in. that may not be from utilities. You also can track your Scope 3 information as well. So you have the ability in one place to have traceability, auditability, being able to see who did what at what time, the factors that are involved to track non-utility impacts to carbon reporting, things like business travel, opportunities to track things like employee commuting, your fleet data, things that sometimes get forgotten, landscaping, other impacts that your facilities may have in slightly different way that maybe historically you haven't thought about before. And all of this comes with Carbon Hub with factors that have already been provided and that we maintain in the background for you from international sources, including the EPA and EGRID and DEFRA and IEA and even more. So we're maintaining those factors on a regular basis so you can have confidence in reporting your carbon emissions, whether you're reporting across your organization, whether you want to drill in and report on only one particular type of emission, if you want to combine data across buildings or use them separately. All of those are different options within Carbon Hub, and we provide easy formats to get that information out so that regardless of where you're reporting your data, whether it's in internal reports or external reports, you also have the capability to put that data into a format. It's your data. We want to serve it up to you in a way that you can use it and get the most value out of it. And again, these tools work together. So a lot of this is automatically there for you if you're tracking utility bills or data off your buildings already through our other platforms as well. And each and every record that is in the system, you can drill into that information. You can see the source of it. You can see for each record what are the particular greenhouse gas factors that were involved with that. Not only that, you can see where did we get those factors from, how did they change over time, the source gases, and all of that gas information flows all the way through the reporting to give you a really rich and robust set of data that you can use to confidently speak about your data sets. So that's just a taste of the EnergyCAP platform, our energy and sustainability ERP that allows you and your teams to really manage your data well. And if you'd like to know more, we have information that's available here. You can see on the screen. We'd love to have you reach out to us so that you could get a much more robust demonstration than I can provide here in just a couple of minutes. So you can reach out using the links and the email address that are here. Just go to our website, energycap.com or sales@energycap.com. Those opportunities are available here. We are going to be making this webinar recording available in the next few days, and you can also reach out to us to get a copy of the Verdantix Green Quadrant for energy management software report that Harry's been referring to throughout this session. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Deborah, and we'll see if we've got some questions in the queue.
We sure do. But first, Dave and Harry, thank you so much. Harry, first of all, for that, all the level of detail on that Green Quadrant for Energy Management Software report. Very helpful. And Dave, I wrote down something you said. There was so much about data, but when you said you're telling the story with data, so important because numbers out there just mean nothing. You have to be able to synthesize it and use it to tell the story internally to set priorities within your own company. So I love that. So thank you for making that point. And let's move on to the Q&A. I'm going to start. Dave, a question for you. How does EnergyCAP utility management differ from EnergyNet utility data?
Yeah, so there are a number of services out there that will provide basic information from utility bills, and they'll provide maybe total use or total cost information from utility bills without necessarily all the context that's needed to be able to really do energy management reporting. As energy managers yourself, you know that the types of facilities that you're monitoring, their age, their size, what they're used for, these are all bits of context that are necessary for you to be able to report accurately, independently, and to make good decisions about where you invest in the future. So a tool like EnergyNet allows you to get data from vendors, and then it kind of leaves you saying, okay, well, what do I do with it? what we're doing at EnergyCAP is we're providing the tools that allow you to analyze that data and make smart decisions. And with services like our bill capture service, we'll go get the data for you, but we don't leave it there. We take it the next step by bringing it into the platform for you and putting it into an accurate format so that you can then start making decisions. And as you mentioned, Deborah, start telling those stories as well.
I was going to say start making those smart energy decisions, but
that's right.
Shameless plug.
That's a good way to do it.
Can't help myself. All right. Back to Carbon Hub for a minute for the next question, Dave. Does Carbon Hub manage market-based emissions factors?
Yeah, so with Carbon Hub, and this is a question we get a lot. You know, our organization, sometimes we want to do market-based reporting, sometimes we need to be location or site-based reporting. What do we do? And our approach to the way we've developed Carbon Hub is we built it with the flexibility to report in both ways. So we've got some best practices that we recommend to some of our customers where you can take your data and you can track and say, okay, well, this is my total use that I had at my facility. Let's say, as an example, you're using your utility bills, and if you're here in the United States, you're mapping it to an E-grid factor, and you're able to say, okay, for my entire facility, this was my greenhouse gas emissions. This is my impact that I had, but my organization cares about this, and we may not always have a choice about some of our suppliers, so we're doing other things in the market to help offset. So we can record those offsets, and we record those separately and give you the tools available so that you can choose whether you want to report with those two things together, which would be your market-based reporting, or if you want to leave out the things that you've done economically, you can do your location or site-based reporting as well. So yes, we handle both of those with the flexibility, so because we realize sometimes you might need to do one, and sometimes you might need to do the other.
Okay, thank you. And Harry, let's bring you into the mix with the next question. Which energy software has the vast majority of connectivity?
Oh, wow, that's a big question. In terms of solutions that spring to mind, I think, you know, when you're really looking for an energy management software solution, you want a solution that can really capture data from many different sources and many different means. Having a solution that can go out and automatically parse bill data through natural language processing and computer vision, that can connect to your existing building infrastructure, that can connect to meters, sub-meters, connect to your utility provider. You know, all very similar to what Dave has just mentioned, really, in terms of EnergyCAP's functionality. That's really what we'd expect from the exemplary solutions out there in terms of data capture. We go into a lot of detail in that in the report, and a large wealth of firms offer that, you know, that intense method of data collection down to a very granular level. And, you know, the more granular the data that you're able to get into the solution, the more data there is for analytics engines to work on, for ML models, regression models, and all of the other clever optimization tools to really drive efficiency from. So in terms of the question, which really asked me to name one, sadly I can't do that, but there is a wealth out there. But really, if you are a buyer looking for energy management software, I would recommend functionality related to what Dave explained in terms of that wealth of knowledge and wealth of data that can all be brought onto a single solution.
Okay, thanks, Harry. And Dave, we'll go back to you for this one. How can this be applied to multifamily housing?
Yeah, so one of the things that we, through our history as EnergyCAP, realize is that no two facilities are the same. In the same way, no two organizations and their portfolio are the same either. So we've built tools within our EnergyCAP platform that allow you to break your facilities into parts and be able to track at the granular level, or I should say not or, and to be able to roll it up together. So when you're talking about a multifamily situation, now, again, even within that, there are many different examples, but whether you're using sub-meter data for maybe part of your spaces, let's say for some of your tenant spaces, but you also have utility bills that you may be getting for some of your common spaces. That's where the flexibility of a tool like EnergyCAP's utility management really sings, because it allows you to combine both sets of data. You can choose at times, maybe I want to report on only this side or the other, or put them both together. So we've got a lot of flexible tools, as well as a module that we didn't even talk about today called our chargeback module, that allows you to do calculations where maybe you need to do subtraction and say, well, this was the whole building bill that I received, but I need to subtract out these meters that maybe I'm not responsible for, so that I'm left with my portion, because this is really the area that I can affect the best within my facility. We've got tools within our platform to help with that.
Okay, thanks. Let's go on to our next question. I'm going to read this carefully. It's a long one, and I think, Harry, this is for you. Is your software research focused on BMS systems, that is equipment controls, and or energy management, energy consumption? These terms sometimes get interchanged, but you could have a basic BMS system without energy management that allows for visibility into energy demand, usage, daily curves, etc.
No, that is quite a technical question. To answer the question quickly, the answer is and. So what we looked at in terms of the Green Quadrant report is we looked at energy management software that goes one step further than simple visualization on a BMS terminal. So we really looked at software packages that would interface with a BMS and interface with meters and sub-meters to get information out of a building, out of the equipment. But absolutely, the solutions that were selected for this analysis go so much further than just BMS energy consumption data. You know, looking at energy procurement, utility bill management. The BMS is obviously a vital part of enabling the insights that you can get from solutions such as those in the Green Quadrant. But no, this looked at the level above. Just a standard, well, several levels above just a BMS at the building level.
Okay, thanks for that. We've got just a couple more questions. We're almost out of time. Here we go. If you use this as a company, the software, do we have the ability to provide access to an energy advisor, or is there an ability to export data for an energy advisor?
Yeah, so it's both. The answer to that is both. Our entire platform is built with a robust set of user roles and permissions that allow you to let multiple people into the platform, and to control their level of access, what can they do, and what is it that they're even allowed to see. So one quick example, we work with a number of universities that are very forward thinking, and they're thinking about ways that they can share data easily. And we have several of them that actually open up the EnergyCAP platform to all of their students. Now that might make your eyes really big if you're that building manager or energy manager at those particular organizations. But the reason they can do that is because of the EnergyCAP permission model. We can set it up so that the admins of our applications can choose what it is that those students see, and they can choose what level of access they have, and they can do it very confidently across the platform. So yes, energy advisors, you can let them into the platform. You can choose what it is they see, what level of access they have, or if you prefer to get data out of the platform as well, it's your data. We want to make sure that we're serving it to you in a convenient format that then you can provide to somebody else for additional analysis.
Okay, thanks. And let's get one last question in here. What level of energy data granularity does your system collect? For example, 2-second, 15-minute, etc., equipment specific? And do you work with specific meters, or are you meter agnostic?
Yeah, to both those questions. The first, when it comes to the interval of data, we can manage data down to up to every 5 minutes coming out of a meter or a building automation system or a building management system. That's really as fine as our system really provides a ton of value. So down to the 5-minute level. And we are meter agnostic, and you can go to our website or reach out to us, and we can provide a whole list of meters and systems that we've connect with already, but that's not meant to even be an exhaustive list. We have APIs that are available for all of our applications to allow our customers to easily get data into the system, to be able to connect using the devices and things they have. We want building and facility managers and energy managers to be able to leverage the data and systems they already have without having to go spend extra money on those. So we've really tried to build our systems to be very flexible and accommodating to help support that goal.
Okay. And that is where we're going to have to end it. We're just about at the top of the hour. I want to thank our speakers, Dave Ulmer and Harry Wilson, for sharing their expertise with us today. And thanks to the team at EnergyCAP for making this all possible. And of course, thank you to our attendees for their participation today. Great questions. The team will get back to you on the ones that we didn't have a chance to do live. So thank you all for being here today. Don't forget to join us again next week for the next webinar in our series, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Deborah. Thanks, Harry.